Hey, what's going on, guys? I decided just to make a video about these levels, just because it can be a little bit confusing, and it's probably just the fastest way for me to do it and the easiest. So, for the levels that I'm going to be playing tomorrow, for 6/2/2025 for Monday, let's start on the weekly chart. So you can see here on the weekly chart, all we had is just one leg up, pull back. We rejected off the 50%, 61% golden zone that I always talk about. And the expectation after that is that we are going to reach the negative 23.6, which is a screen line here, which is 6,757. Of course, that's super, super high away, but far away, but I like to just have it just so I can kind of get an overall view. Now, arguably the most important time frame is going to be the daily time frame. So as you can see here, we hit our 50% here, right? We came up, we hit our 50% here, right? And we come up. Now, when you put to the most recent swing here to this overshoot of this trend channel, trend line breaks expected. This right here, this area right here is going to be our 50 to 61% golden zone pocket. So I mark that down as support too. This already played out. And you can see here that we have a target of negative 23.6 here, which is going to be 60,085. Then we get this another little push up and we're just waiting for retracement. And then again, you draw from here to here, your new highs, and you see that we have this little 50, 61 golden zone pocket. So far, we have been rejecting off of it. You can see that very, very long wick here. And the expectation is this green line here. So I just put that as one big yellow rectangle because realistically, that is going to be the target if we remain bullish based off the Fibonacci sequences. Like this real quick, make the chart nice and clean. That's how I got this green level here on the weekly, which again isn't as important, but it's just good to overall understand everything. We got this green level here, we got a support level here, and then the support level here. Coming to the 10,000 tick chart, and again, I'm just using the 10,000 tick chart to keep everything very tight. With a 2,000 tick chart, sometimes you can't zoom out as far as I would like. So on Thursday the 29th, how I played my levels was I saw a spike in channel and I played this 50% pullback here and I shorted these levels here. And I also shorted this level here as well. You can see, and this was my support, or excuse me, my resistance area that I shorted to get very, very nice R on these trades. So Friday morning came and I already saw this trend played out. I saw we also fell back into this daily support level, which is just 50 to 61.8% of this move here. And, I got bullish and I took a few longs in these areas and which just wasn't very intelligent. If anything, I should have waited for a little bit of a deeper retracement into this general area here before going long, but I don't know, just kind of tilted very, very early in the day because I lost like my first two trades, but that's completely fine. It happens. And the reason why I lost that trade was the market saw a wider trend channel that I absolutely did not see, right? So the market saw a channel like this, right? Where this was the overshoot, and then the pullback happened to the 50% of that starting point of the channel. And then you can see the negative 23.6 down here, and that's exactly where we go, right? So I drew these levels on a video that I did the other day, but I was like, that probably is not going to play out. So I deleted them off my chart and I ended up losing because I just completely ignored this 50% support up here and this negative 23.6 target down here. Surprise, surprise. That actually was the correct one. So lesson learned. Don't tilt and make sure that when you draw your levels and you have your technical analysis, keep it on your chart. So that is that level there. And that's all Friday was some sort of wider channel, pull back to the 50% of that wider channel, and then a pull back to the negative 23.6. Now, there is a few ideas here that we can have. Let me switch over to the 2K tick chart now, because we're kind of keeping it or actually let's stay on the 10. Just remember, it's the exact same thing. It's just a little bit less candle, so it's easier to see. So what I could potentially see here as well is we could have a spike and channel to the downside, right? So you can see spike, and then we start to channel, and you can see how we're kind of touching these highs pretty nicely. We're touching the lows pretty nicely, and then we get this overshoot to the downside here. And you can see here that we also have a very strong 50% resistance here, excuse me, that we did pull and smash into as well. So that's something that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Yes, it does look like we are pulling back 50% to potentially make two legs up to a new high, which is probably what's going to happen. But you really want to be careful here that you don't just start longing and trying to find, two legs down to a new high, because again, this could very easily run down to these lows. Just like what happened to me on Friday when I lost. I didn't have this additional potential resistance area, and I paid for it. So that is one thing that you're going to want to pay attention to, and that would be kind of something like this that may form and find support around this target area. But realistically, I doubt that's going to happen. We are pretty bullish. We are in a bull trend. Yes, we have a new high, which could mean why we could potentially go down here to the 5,816. But again, most likely we will get those two legs up. And again, the weekly chart, you can see here, we have a target above. We are above the EMA. We did just bounce off the EMA here on the daily chart. So there is a good chance here. Now, here is going to be a 50% pullback on the 10K tick chart, which is about the 5-minute chart, which means we would expect something like this. And that would complete our first target here. And then eventually throughout the week, we'd want to see a target up here as well, completing the daily charts measured move, right? Which is these two legs to a new high. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on that as well. These are the levels that I'm keeping an eye on. If for some reason we break this level, I am probably going to switch my bias to bearish, because there's really no reason we should come back down here, right? If you take a look here, we ran all these lows, which would mean that we had some sort of, let me just make this a different color that we don't normally use, right? I use salmon. It's just exactly like red. Let's see, just make it cyan. Right, we ran all these lows down here, which would be considered a liquidity sweep. That's typically when you get, these two legs break and retests, starting at the spike and channel, right? So we would expect some sort of two legs up now, but you want to really be careful here. I would really like to see these levels hold here. And I definitely don't want to see us dip back into this, because if we dip back into this level here, that almost means that we're at, having a 61.8% failure. That means we are almost retracing 60 to almost 70% potentially of this leg here. And once you retrace 70-80% of a particular leg, typically you will not get another leg in that same direction. You're typically getting a reversal, which would add context to the fact that we want to come down here to the 58.16, which would justify these two legs to the downside. Okay, overall still very, very bullish. If for some reason we do break these levels, expect to come down here. If we do hold and find support at these levels here, expect to reach the 59.50s, and then potentially, I don't know if it could happen, Monday, Tuesday, but expect to reach these levels here, which is a 60-60s. Okay, so again, the game plan here, two legs down. Let me switch to the other chart now that all the levels are broken. But yeah, so the game plan would be, two legs down, 50% pullbacks, anything you can to try to get into these levels here. The market just opened up really not a lot of context yet. But again, I want to see these levels hold, and I want to see us attack the 5950s and then go on to attack the 66. And that's pretty much the game plan for Monday. We'll see how it plays out, whether we target the 5810s and the Bears win, or we attack the 5950s and then eventually the 60s. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach me in the Discord.